Less than 1% of deer hunters will ever see a 200-inch deer, let alone have the opportunity to harvest one.
Thank you, Jesus! No kidding! Holy smoke!
In 2019, I got my chance. But it didn't happen like you see on TV.
Let's go.
I'm Josh Stubbs from, you want me to say where I'm from?
Yep.
Can I just say from Kansas?
Yeah.
I'm Josh Stubbs from Kansas. I first started hunting probably when I first started carrying a gun. I think I was 9 years old. Grew up on a farm in Kansas, and so started chasing turtle doves, ducks, pheasants, and pretty much anything else that I could find. I'd started rifle hunting when I was 21 and quickly found out that I wanted to start bow hunting. I just didn't like the slow pace of rifle hunting and, you know, shooting 300 yards out there. I wanted to be up close to the animal. So the first year I started bow hunting, I missed 265-inch 10 points. I rattled both of them in at different times, but I had one come up right underneath my stand. He walked back out. I thought he was 30, he was 20, shot right over his back. The second one, when I went to draw on him, I hit my rattling horns with my bow and he took off and never saw him again. So I was introduced to big deer right away, but wasn't able to connect on a big one that first year. In 2016 is when I had my first encounter with this buck. He came out in front of my stand and there were some does milling around on the edge of a tree line. He was probably in the mid 160s at that time, maybe, 160, 165, somewhere in there, but I knew that he was young. At minimum, he was probably 4.5 at that time. I just knew that if we gave him some years that, he could turn into something really big. So we do have quite a bit of pressure. There's a lot of out-of-state guys, a lot of residents that hunt in that area. And so I wasn't, for sure that he was going to make it through. But also if you shoot them, they're not going to grow anymore. So I made that decision pretty quick that I was going to let him pass. So 2017 comes around and I start getting trail camera pictures of him, but I never actually saw him in daylight. He was always coming through at night. At some point in November of that year, he broke off his left antler and all that was left was his brow tine and his G2. So you fast forward to 2018, I get pictures of him and he's mid 180s. I actually have an encounter. He comes right by my stand at 10, 11 yards. I knew right away which buck he was. I saw his right side, comes walking through him at full draw, and he's missing his left side again. So 2019 comes around. I know I'm gonna have to try to kill him early, try to kill him in September before he starts fighting and gets broken up. So we're headed out. It's our first sit of the year. We just had a cold front come through. Had a bunch of rain earlier this morning, and midday temperature swing of about 25 degrees. So hopefully the bucks will be up and moving a little bit before it gets dark. We're chasing a deer that should go well into the 180s. I've got some history with him this summer. He's really blown up. I started watching him in end of May, and we've got trail cam pictures of him June, July, August, September. He just keeps getting bigger and bigger. He's finally hard horned, so been getting some pictures right at dark, and so hopefully they'll move a little bit sooner this evening. Hopefully it comes in tonight. I've got my nephew Reid Stubbs videoing tonight. Take 7001.
So it's the evening of September 28th. We are headed out to the Louise, where we are chasing a buck that was probably in the score of 180s. We just had a cold cup come through, so hopefully we'll see him tonight.
Yeah, and it's not something I've never really tried to do is film my hunts, but we're gonna give it a go this year, so please forgive us if some of the footage is a little sloppy. So once again, it's September 28th. It's around
arrows get up. They're a ways away still, but it's around 68 degrees. The humidity's pretty bad right now. We just had a front come through and it's still kind of sticky. So we're hoping that big boy still comes in, and, or at least if we can just see him on the hoof, that would just be awesome just to see him. So as you can see, I just dropped my bow. Dropped it like 20 feet. 2 of my arrows are busted. I've got 1 good arrow with 1 good knock. I cannot believe it. I hung it on a tree limb and I went to grab it and it fell all the way down. I pulled back and checked the cams. They all look good, so hopefully I only need 1 arrow tonight.
So we get out there, I think it's probably around 5 o'clock that we get up in the tree. 6 goes by, starting to see, does pop up in the grass, and pretty much just all around us. It had probably dropped 35 degrees at this point. Around 6:30, we see a buck, or I should say, Reid sees a buck, and he's like, "Hey Josh, the buck that you're after, he's coming." And so I couldn't see. I had to look around the tree, and I'm like, "No, that's not the one. He runs with that buck, but that's not the one." He's like, "No, he's behind him." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's him."
Right.
Let's go.
He's dead. Keep it on him, keep it on him.
Let's go, Josh.
He's walking real slow. We can tell that, it was a good shot. And all of a sudden he just falls over. And so, I've done this, enough to know that, he's probably dead down there.
Give me, buddy. Give me, buddy. Yes. He is down just right over here. I've been after this buck since 2016. And then passed him up last year because he had broken off his right side. This is my 2nd time in the stand, and I've got Reid Stubbs behind in the camera. And that sucker just came in. Holy smokes, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
Most times I would wait, still 30 minutes, and Reid was super excited, so that made me even more excited, and we decided to get down 5 minutes after the shot, and that was definitely a mistake. We climb down, go over to where the buck was where we thought he was laying, and he was nowhere to be found. Man, it looks like impact is right there. Man, it looks like I got double lung. Almost positive. The way he reacted and the way he went down that fast, man, it looks like a good shot. Well, I've watched the footage about 30 times, and I'm pretty sure I got double lung. Pretty sure I got some liver too, just looking at the blood that we saw. And still waiting on a couple calls coming from guys that do blood trail recovery. So this deer's too big. I don't want to take any chances. So we're going to make sure we have a dog before we head back out there. Hello?
Hi, this is Skeeter with Midwest Tracker.
Hey,
How are you tonight?
Hey, Skeeter. I'm good. I'd be doing better if I would have already had my deer in the back of the truck. So the decision was made to get a dog and to see if we could track the buck. And so I met the tracker at the lease. Okay, and what's his name?
This is Buster. He's
Buster.
our tracking dog. He's a 1-year-old Bavarian mountain hound.
All right, well, we're gonna see if he can find a deer tonight.
Yeah, he's eager.
So over here is where we had him bedded down, so.
Hey, Buster. Hey, Buster, sit. Sit. Ready, Buster, sit. Got it? There you go. There you go. Work.
For whatever reason, the dog was having a hard time picking up the trail right off the bat. So the tracker took him off to a different kind of, a little bit further away. He's probably about 250 yards, 200 yards away from us. And we just started, following the blood trail. There wasn't a ton of blood, and it was very slow. The grass was very tall, so it was hard to find it, but we were making progress. We'd made it maybe 75 yards from where we first found blood, and then we heard the tracker yell.
Thank you, Jesus! No kidding! Holy smokes! Woo! Thank you, Jesus!
To this day, I remember the feeling. I mean, it just, after chasing the buck for 4 years, it was just phenomenal feeling. I from going to thinking that maybe I had lost this buck to, we found him and I laid my hands on him. I mean, it just was an awesome feeling. I mean, it was such a blessing from God that, and I had my nephew with me.
Hey.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
We're here. Kirshner is going to get the deer scored. Here he is.
Well, that's a pretty one.
5, 3.
6 and 6.
Oh, 6 and 6.
5 and 1.
Yeah, so score is 201 and 1/8, or 2/8. No, 1/8.
2-5. 2-5 is, yeah.
Yeah.
1-8.
Wow.
How did you get that rack in the fridge in Texas?
We had to do some finagling. I mean, I believe we had to take out some of the racks because he just didn't want to fit in there. But yeah, it took a little bit to get it in there. Well, that's how we got it. So how my view of hunting has changed is, that's a great question. I would say that I'm probably not so bloodthirsty now. I'll not fill a tag. I don't have to fill a tag. I try to target a specific buck. Usually it's 1 to 2 bucks, which, you know, becomes very difficult in of itself, especially if, you know, somebody else gets him first. But it's more about the process. It's more about the hunt than the actual kill for me now. When I was in my 20s, you know, I had to get my limit of ducks every time I went out. I had to get my limit of pheasants. You know, I had to kill as many deer as I could. And I think for me, I would say that I've matured as a hunter in that area. Not that those things are bad, but I think you just get to a point where, you know, you just love seeing that sunrise coming up and you see the bucks, you know, heading to bed or they're coming out to feed. So it's just the entire process that I think I appreciate more. So Reid, I mean, he was just, you know, an awesome kid. One of my favorite nephews. I mean, he was always ready for an adventure. He was always ready to go fishing or hunting.
Hey, what's so funny? You can't be laughing.
And it was just awesome that he could be there with me and film that. I had a Canon 5D camera. I thought that I would have him use that, but last second, I'm like, no, let's just film this with my cell phone. And he did a phenomenal job. He wasn't very old and really hadn't filmed anything up to that point, but it's just a memory that you know, I'll have for the rest of my life with him. And I never thought I'd be making this film without him, but it's, you know, definitely a treasure, and it makes it more special in a way, as hard as it is to go through that. He made everyone smile, he made everyone laugh, he made everyone feel welcome. And he is going to be deeply missed. Probably my favorite trip with Reid was fishing in Alaska because he's super competitive. I'm competitive. He's always, you know, trying to say, I'm going to catch more fish than you. And there were days definitely that he caught more fish than me. So that's probably my favorite, some of my favorite memories. There's obviously a lot of good ones in hunting, but Reid was quite the fisherman. It's funny how things change in a way that you would never expect. Growing up, I never thought it would be the way that it is today. I may never get the chance to shoot another 200-inch deer, but one thing is for certain. God is first in my life, because it is Him that helps my family, my business, and my life elevate.
All right, Reid, see that monster.